Today I'm going to be talking about my experience with testicular cancer, how I found out about it, what the process of going through treatment was like, and what it's like dealing with a few months post chemo. Um, okay, so it started off with a lot of pain, and I was worried that it wasn't cancer, it was something like an STD or something, even though I wasn't even sexually active at the time. Uh, it was noticeable swelling. It was really bad. Normally, it doesn't get to this point before you see a doctor. Normally, you can tell. And please do your daily checks, every other day or so. Make sure everything downstairs is shaped normally. But for me, I did not do that. I was negligent. And what ended up happening was I was working. I had to leave work because the pain got severe. I mean, it was very noticeable. Swelling, that kind of thing. I went and saw a urologist, and I had a few scans done, both ultrasound and a pelvic CT. And I knew something was wrong whenever I was called only about a half hour after leaving the doctor. I was told that I had pretty late stage testicular cancer, that I would need to be rushed into surgery within a week, and that I would start chemo immediately thereafter. Now, the kind of surgery that I got, and that I would say that most people get in this case, is called an inguinal orchiectomy. It is, not to be too graphic, but they do an incision in your abdomen. I think it's only about maybe 3 inches long. They remove both the offending testicle, the traitor, and the tube connecting it to the rest of you. Now, initially, this surgery, it sounds scary, and it is. It was not that bad. The actual, it was only, according to what my urologist said, who was also my surgeon, it was only about a 45-minute surgery. It really wasn't that bad. The worst part for me was the recovery, because I had never had any major surgeries done before. And I was scared of popping stitches. It was really difficult to stand up straight because of the location of the stitches. When you stand up straight, it kind of stretches them. And I was really scared of popping stitches and having to rush to the hospital, which never happened. After about a week, I was able to stand up and be normal again. And that wasn't that bad. And the scar that I got from it was not that bad. It's just slightly purplish. It looks pretty gnarly at first, but it's not that bad. Then I had if you have an option, if you go through chemo and you have an option of getting a port, please get a port. Don't be scared of it. I know the concept of having not a hole, but something connected to you right here is scary, but it saves you so much trouble in the long term. I'll try and give an explanation of what a port is. It is a little plastic piece that goes in your chest, either on your right or left side. It really depends. It really varies. It's painless to get put in. It doesn't hurt at all when you get it put in. And what it is instead of sticking you in the arm and having your chemo, your intravenous drugs go through your arm and getting stuck in a different place every day, they'll give you a cream, you apply over the port, and when they stick you, you don't feel it. And it makes things much easier. Now, sometimes it'll sting a little bit because, needles are a thing and they hurt sometimes. But generally speaking, with the cream they give you, it has numbing agent in it, and it'll stop you from feeling it. So that if you have the option of getting a port, I think mine is called a power port, I would recommend getting it. The surgery to get it put in, again, not painful at all. It wasn't that bad at all. You get some stitches from it, but all it ends up being is you have a lump right here that doesn't hurt at all. You can't really feel it. And then onto the actual chemo itself. Now, I'm not sure if the treatment varies, but the kind of treatment I got was called BEP, which I believe is bleomycin, etoposide, and cisplatin. I believe all three have the side effects of hair loss, so be prepared for that. It will happen. And it doesn't happen slowly. Believe it or not, at first I thought it would be like a slow, I would gradually lose my hair. That's not what happened. I was just sitting at my computer and I scratched my beard one day and just a handful of hair came out. And then the next time I showered, almost all of it came out. I had to buzz the rest down because I looked like Schmeagol, basically, at first. It's scary when it happens. I didn't feel bad until I lost my eyebrows. Like you look normal until you lose your eyebrows, I feel like. And that was hard for me. Now we're getting into the serious stuff. The chemo was hard. I'm not trying to be scary. You will feel sick. You might not necessarily throw up, but you will lose a lot of your energy. If you're not used to being in a hospital, it is kind of a nightmare because of that. You know, especially with the kind of chemo I got, you go, at least for me, I did cycles. So my cycle was I would have one really, really bad week where I would go every day and get all my drugs every day. Then I believe I would have 2 weeks of just going once a week or twice a week. Having family members there helps, and having good nurses helps. But it's not easy. It will test you. Just the being stuck there, just having things in you for so long. I mean, let me be clear. I know there are worse things out there. You know, I wasn't like a dialysis patient or anything like that. But it does test you. Getting like liters of fluid put in you, you feel disgusting basically all day. If you have self-image issues, like I did, or I do, it messes with your mind more than it messes with your body. It was how do I put this? It will amplify any kind of anxiety you have, in my experience. I have a lot of, like I said, self-image issues, and when I lost my hair, it didn't help things. I gained a lot of weight during chemo, which is another thing that people don't expect. Oftentimes, you don't actually lose weight during chemo. They encourage you to eat as much as possible, and because of the amount of liquid they give you, that you cannot drink the amount of liquid they put into you. I was getting, between my chemo drugs and the fluid that I needed just to be there, I was getting between, I think, 2.5 and 3 liters a day, which isn't that bad on the weeks where I only have to go once. But on the days when you're going every day, or on the weeks where you're going every day, it is hard. I mean, it is difficult. My weight went up. I was 232, 233 when I started, and by the time I finished, I was closer to 260, which is a big deal for me because I have struggled my entire life with weight. I mean, I've lost 110, 120 pounds. I used to be 345, and it was a huge deal to me whenever I started gaining weight because I felt disgusting. And it does compound on itself. At first, it's not that bad. You know, the side effects don't start immediately. They start building up over the course of your treatment. And towards the end, it is really hard. Some people I know get more nauseous than others. I actually didn't get nauseous at all for the most of my treatment. I was one of the lucky ones. It's difficult. It is difficult. It's necessary. Testicular cancer thankfully has a treatment rate in like the high 90s of percentages. So if you are going to get a cancer, if you had to use your cancer card on something, testicular cancer is not a bad one to get. You know, especially if the surgery, if you're lucky and you just have the testicle removed, and that's all you have to do, and you can avoid chemo, that's good. Only having one doesn't really affect much. According to my urologist, it may affect fertility in some way, but in terms of testosterone production and day-to-day life, it doesn't change anything, which is good. You know, it's one of the few cancers where you can say that. And once you finish chemo, you know, there's your checkups. You have to go get your scans and stuff like that. You do, at least I have neuropathy, which is like a numbness and pain in my extremities. I have them in my fingers and my feet. And also tinnitus is a possible side effect. I had tinnitus before I had treatment, and it didn't really change it that much. So it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But the numbness in your fingertips, that can last a while. I think it was like a year or more it can last, but it does eventually go away. The hardest part for me was the self-image issues and just feeling like a burden on everybody. It was more of a mental load on me than it was a physical one. I had a relationship end like the day I finished chemo, so that really did not help with the self-image issues. And I'm still really kind of dealing with that. It's not the easiest thing in the world to deal with. You know, I don't have lasting physical side effects, but I think the mental side effects are just as valid. And having a support group to help you deal with those, be it family, friends, a partner, it helps. It helps a lot. The oddest thing to me was like during treatment, I never felt like I was a cancer patient, if that makes sense. Before you get cancer and you see cancer patients, there's this wave of pity that comes over you, but you never feel like you need it during treatment, if that makes sense. I always thought it was funny. I told pretty dark jokes about me having cancer, and I still do. I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, especially in a situation like this, then it makes things more difficult. Especially, it's really easy to make fun of somebody with one testicle. It makes for a lot of very, very easy jokes, but good jokes. And it helps deal with it for me. That's my way of dealing with stuff a lot of the times is comedy. But just be aware. And this is kind of, I'm making this just for anybody that is either about to begin treatment, is scared they might have testicular cancer, is told that has just been diagnosed. Don't be scared of it. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's, you can beat it. I beat it. Most people do beat it. The surgeries you get, honestly, are not that bad. The only surgery that I was scared of was if the treatment doesn't go well, if the chemo isn't as effective as the doctors think it will be. You may need to get the lymph. Sometimes it'll spread to the lymph nodes, which it did in my case as well. And you would need to have a lymph node dissection, which is less fun of a surgery. But I think that's rare. I don't think that's very common. It was, even though my cancer was pretty advanced, it didn't happen to me. I never needed the surgery. So that's good. Most of it for me was the mental effects of feeling like a burden and feeling gross and looking like an alien, basically. I'm a big guy, so yeah, it's noticeable when a guy of my size walks into the room with no eyebrows. And I wasn't a big hat person before chemo, but now I can't stop wearing them. Like, I wear a beanie every day. Where I live, it's like 95 degrees right now, and I still wear a beanie every day. I feel like I look better with them. So, I know I'm kind of rambling, but if you are diagnosed with it, it'll be okay. Chemo is not the worst thing in the world. It's rough, but it's bearable. Hopefully you have friends and family to support you. And hopefully you have good nurses, because that's a big deal. And if there are any oncology nurses that are watching this, thank you. You guys are great. That's not an easy job to have, because a lot of the times not everyone has a great prognosis, the people that you're treating, and it's hard to see people come in that are much worse off than I was. But you will meet a lot of great people. If your hospital, if the chemo ward in your hospital treats multiple people at one time, which I believe is the case in most places, you're going to meet a lot of people, a lot of really strong people that are going through things that are comparable to what you're going through. So, if you don't have testicular cancer and you're just watching this for educational reasons, please check yourself, every other day in the shower, whatever you got to do. It's not an uncommon form of cancer, and the earlier you catch it, like with most cancers, the better. So just watch out for yourself. I don't usually make videos. This is the first one I've ever made, so any constructive criticism is welcome. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and try not to get cancer. It's not fun.